Hi, I'm Cheryl Leslie, registered dietitian at the Center for Cancer Care at White Plains Hospital. In my series of nutrition videos that you'll find on this website, I am reviewing guidelines to lower our risk of cancer. In this video, I'm going to be discussing why we should limit our consumption of red meat and processed meats. So the guideline from the American Institute for Cancer Research recommends eating no more than 3 servings of red meat per week, and this translates to about 12 to 18 ounces of cooked red meat. The Institute chose this amount recognizing that we do get some beneficial nutrients from eating red meat, such as protein and iron, but the recommendation is to against consuming large amounts of red meat, since we know this will increase our risk of colorectal cancer and other diseases. So what is red meat? Most people know that, it's beef, but what they don't realize is that red meat is also from veal, pork, lamb, mutton, and horse and goat. And depending upon your culture, you may eat some of these foods or where you're located. So why does red meat increase the risk of colorectal and potentially other cancers? Red meat is often cooked at high temperatures, right? We broil it, we grill it, and when animal proteins are cooked at high temperature, compounds form that have been found to be carcinogenic, and these carcinogenic compounds are specifically linked to the risk of colorectal cancer. Additionally, the kind of iron that is found in high amounts in red meat, it's called heme iron, has been shown to promote colon tumor formation by stimulating development of a carcinogenic compound called N-nitroso in the colon. So of all the cancers, when we eat red meat, we increase our risk of colorectal the greatest. Now, there are some ways that we can lessen the risk of these compounds from forming when you eat red meat. One way is to marinate your meat for an hour or so in the refrigerator, and hopefully putting some lemon or some vinegar in your marinade to help with the process. And by marinating the outside of the meat, it seems to protect the meat from forming some of these cancer-causing compounds. Another way to reduce your risk or exposure is to consider pre-cooking your meat. So instead of putting it directly on the grill to cook, maybe pre-cook it in your oven at a lower temperature, or put it in the microwave for a little while, and then put it on the grill just to get that flavor that everyone enjoys from grilled meat. The one way that the risk is formed in red meat cooking is when the fat drips down, particularly when you're grilling, and hits, the coal or whatever your fuel source is when you're barbecuing. The fat that drips down flares up, and the flames come up and blacken the meat and char the meat. And we know that these charred areas in particular have carcinogens in them. So I would say trim the fat off your meat to avoid flare-ups, and also avoid eating the really charred areas when you do eat broiled or grilled meats. Another way to reduce the risk is to lessen the amount of time that you need to cook your meat. So cut it into smaller portions so it cooks faster. And also, instead of always grilling meat on the grill, think about grilling vegetables. They're delicious and they do not form these cancer-causing compounds. So let's talk next about processed meats. Processed meats are meats that do not exist in their original form, but they've been changed by curing, smoking, salting, or through the addition of chemical preservatives such as nitrates. Examples of processed meats are hot dogs, ham, bacon, sausage, pepperoni, corned beef, salami, and deli meats. Okay, all these are considered processed meats. Processed meats have been associated with an increased risk of colorectal cancer. Studies show that compared to eating no processed meats, eating about 3.5 ounces a day, which is about the size of a large hot dog, increases the risk of colorectal cancer by 36%. It's believed that some of the same mechanisms that causes red meat to be carcinogenic also occur in processed meats. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense because many of the processed meats are cooked at high temperatures. Think about when you go to cook bacon, right? We fry it. The processed meats often have sources of heme iron in it that can damage the lining of the colon. When meats are smoked, they contain substances that are considered to be carcinogenic. And also nitrates have been added to some processed meats that have been shown by lab studies to form cancer-causing compounds. So people often say to me, oh, but I buy nitrate-free or I buy uncured meats such as hot dogs or bacon. And anything that is labeled as nitrate-free, what it means is that there are no synthetic nitrates that have been added to that product. The definition of a nitrate is that it must come from a chemical process or a synthetic process, and it cannot be a natural nitrate. But there are natural nitrates out there that the food companies use in their uncured or nitrate-free meats. Generally, if you look at the ingredients, you will see celery powder, and that is a natural nitrate. So by using the powder, they can put a concentrated form of natural nitrate in that food, but not have to say that there are nitrates in it. So we don't truly know if these natural nitrates pose a risk to us or not because not enough research has been done yet. So the general recommendation is that it's best to avoid all these food products. And whether or not the natural nitrates are safer, we still know that processed meats contain an awful lot of salt, and salted foods have been associated with an increased risk of stomach cancer, so we really should avoid them. So I hope this video answered many of your questions regarding the role of red meats and processed meats on cancer risk. If you have any questions on this topic or any other nutrition topic, please feel free to reach out to me by calling the Cancer Center.